Ensuring the new PM reflects the people's will, an opinion by Mohan Ramcharan, LLB, Birmingham, England. While the letter in yesterday's Express, titled "Costly UNC Political Gamble," suggests that challenging the appointment of Mr. Stuart Young as Prime Minister would be politically suicidal for Mrs. Kamla Persad Bissessar and the United National Congress, UNC, a correct interpretation and application of the law must take precedence over political expediency. The constitutional process must be scrutinized to ensure that the fundamental principles of democratic governance are upheld, particularly when concerns arise about potential conflicts of interest and the neutrality of key figures in the process, such as the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. 1. The rule of law and constitutional clarity. The first and foremost reason for the legal challenge is the need to uphold the rule of law. The Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago provides clear processes for the appointment of a Prime Minister under Section 76. While it grants the President the discretion to appoint a Prime Minister from the majority party in the House of Representatives, this discretion must be exercised with a commitment to the principles of fairness, transparency, and neutrality. As raised in previous queries, if the President is a former member of the same political party as the outgoing Prime Minister, there is a legitimate concern about perceived or actual bias. In such a case, it is imperative to ensure that the appointment of a new Prime Minister adheres to the constitutional framework, which demands that the individual selected must command the majority support in the House. The President must not simply follow the directives of the outgoing Prime Minister, as this would undermine the integrity of the process. A constitutional challenge would not only provide clarity on whether the appointment was made lawfully, but also reinforce the principle of checks and balances within the political system. Ensuring that the President's actions align with the Constitution helps protect the country's democratic integrity and guarantees that the public's interests are properly safeguarded. 2. Constitutional interpretation and parliamentary support. While the letter by Yassin Ahmed suggests that the real political battle lies in the forthcoming general election, the interpretation of the Constitution regarding the appointment of the Prime Minister should not be overlooked. The concern raised by the opposition is not merely political posturing, but a legitimate legal question of whether Mr. Young's appointment was consistent with the constitutional requirements. The constitutional requirement is that the Prime Minister must be appointed from the party commanding a majority in the House of Representatives, as articulated in Section 76(1). However, if the incoming Prime Minister does not have the unequivocal support of the House, the legal basis for their appointment could be challenged. If the President appoints Mr. Young without clear evidence of parliamentary backing, the appointment could be constitutionally flawed, regardless of the PNM's, People's National Movement's, internal party processes. Additionally, Section 76 provides for the possibility of a prime ministerial appointment in situations of ambiguity, for example, where no party leader has a clear majority. In such circumstances, the President must act within the law, ensuring that the new Prime Minister has the support of the majority in the House, not simply the approval of the outgoing Prime Minister or the internal workings of the party. 3. The role of judicial review and public trust. One of the core tenets of a constitutional democracy is that government actions, including the appointment of a Prime Minister, are subject to judicial review. The judiciary plays a critical role in ensuring that actions taken by the executive, particularly the President, comply with constitutional requirements. The Privy Council, as the highest court of appeal, would be tasked with determining whether any constitutional violations have occurred in the appointment process. Challenging the appointment in court is not an exercise in political point scoring, but an important constitutional action to prevent the potential erosion of democratic principles. Given the concerns about possible party bias within the appointment process, judicial review will allow for an independent and impartial assessment of whether the President's actions were in line with constitutional norms. The fact that the case may require legal time to resolve does not diminish its significance. The proper interpretation of the law is critical to ensuring that the constitutional system functions as intended, even if the process of challenge is time-consuming or costly. The potential costs of not addressing any possible constitutional breach far outweigh the risks of inaction. 4. The political ramifications and the marginal seats. While the letter correctly identifies that the PNM faces challenges in retaining its seats and that the UNC is aiming to make gains in marginal constituencies, this should not obscure the legal issues at hand. The perception that the president is acting in a partisan manner could have serious political repercussions, particularly in the lead-up to the election. Voters in marginal constituencies are likely to be sensitive to issues of fairness, legitimacy, and constitutional integrity. Moreover, the electoral impact of this legal challenge is not necessarily detrimental to the opposition. In fact, it provides an opportunity to reinforce the importance of the Constitution and democratic principles. By raising the challenge, the UNC can demonstrate its commitment to ensuring that the government adheres to constitutional norms, which could resonate with voters concerned about the integrity of the political system. Conclusion: the constitutional challenge raised by Mrs. Persad Bisesar is a necessary and crucial step to ensure that the appointment of the Prime Minister is consistent with the legal requirements of TNT's constitution. While political ramifications must be considered, the upholding of constitutional values should take precedence over short-term political calculations. By challenging the appointment, the opposition is not only asserting its legal rights, but also ensuring that the integrity of the political process is maintained. It is essential that the legal interpretation of Section 76 and the President's discretion be fully examined to prevent any possible constitutional violations and ensure that the appointment of the Prime Minister reflects the true will of the people as represented in the House of Representatives. Mohan Ramcharan, LLB, Birmingham, England.